Jake Morrison sat at the corner table of the bar watching his crewmates celebrate. The war was over. Earth had won. Everyone was drinking and laughing, but Jake felt nothing. He had been fighting for 3 years and all he wanted now was silence. His friend Danny slapped him on the back. "Come on, Jake, you look like someone died." "We won the war. Smile a little." Jake forced a weak smile. "I'm just tired, Danny, that's all." "Too tired to have fun?" Danny grinned. "We got something special for you. A real gift for our hero." Jake didn't like the sound of that. He had seen what passed for entertainment in the lower decks of the station. Nothing good ever came from those dark corridors where the law didn't reach. 4 of his crewmates grabbed his arms and pulled him along. They were all drunk, laughing and making jokes Jake didn't find funny. They dragged him through narrow hallways and down rusty stairs until they reached the black market district. The place smelled bad. Sweat and oil and something else Jake couldn't name. Vendors sold stolen goods and illegal weapons. People whispered in corners, making deals they didn't want anyone to see. Danny led them to a small shop at the end of an alley. Inside, cages lined the walls. Most were empty, but one in the back glowed with blue energy bars. Something moved inside. "There she is," Danny announced proudly. "Your very own Xanthari girl. Cost us a fortune, but you're worth it." Jake's stomach turned. He walked closer to the cage and looked inside. A Xanthari female sat on the floor, her back against the wall. She was young, maybe 19 by human standards. Her skin was silver, marked with scars that covered her arms and neck. She had 4 arms like all Xanthari, but one hung at a wrong angle, clearly broken. Her violet eyes stared at nothing, empty and dead. "What the hell is this?" Jake asked quietly. "Entertainment," one of his crewmates laughed. "She's yours now. Do whatever you want with her. She's broken anyway. Got her at a discount." The slaver, a fat man with greasy hair, nodded. "She doesn't talk much. Been through a few owners already. But she's still pretty enough if you don't mind the damage." Jake felt sick. This was what they thought he wanted? This was how they celebrated victory? "She's all paid for," Danny said. "Your quarters are ready. Have fun, buddy. You deserve it after everything you've been through." Jake looked at the girl again. She hadn't moved. Hadn't even looked at them. She just sat there waiting for whatever horror came next. In that moment, Jake saw himself after the Battle of Kepler Station, when he had lost everyone and stopped caring about anything. "Give me the cage," Jake said. His friends cheered. The slaver handed him a small remote that controlled the energy bars. Jake picked up the cage. It was lighter than he expected. "Don't be gentle with her," someone called out. "She's built tough. Have some fun." Jake didn't respond. He carried the cage out of the shop and through the station. People stared at him. Some laughed. Others shook their heads. A Xanthari slave was a common sight these days, especially in military stations. His quarters were small but private. Jake set the cage down in the middle of the room and locked the door. Then he stood there looking at the girl inside. She still hadn't moved, still hadn't acknowledged him. Jake pressed the button on the remote. The energy bars disappeared. The cage door swung open. The girl didn't run, didn't even look up. She simply collapsed onto the floor, too weak or too broken to care about freedom. Jake knelt down several feet away from her. He kept his hands where she could see them. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. "What's your name?" No answer. Her breathing was shallow and rough. Jake noticed the metal collar around her neck. It was a slave collar, the kind that shocked if you disobeyed. Anger burned in his chest, but he pushed it down. "Okay," he continued. "You don't have to talk. But I need to look at your injuries. That arm looks really bad. If you let me help, I'll be gentle. I promise, still nothing." Jake slowly reached for his medical kit. He had been a field medic before he became a pilot. He knew how to treat wounds, but Xanthari bodies were different from human ones. He would have to be careful. As he moved closer, the girl flinched hard. She curled into a ball, protecting her head with her good arms. Jake froze. "I know," he whispered. "I know you don't trust me, but I'm all you have right now, and that arm needs help or you'll lose it." He spent the next hour moving slowly, giving her time to get used to him. He talked the whole time, keeping his voice low and calm. He told her about Earth, about the stars, about anything except the war. By the time night came, he had managed to scan her with his medical device. 3 bones had healed wrong. She was starving. Her insides were damaged in ways he couldn't fix without real doctors. Jake looked at the scared, broken girl on his floor and made a choice. He wouldn't use her like his friends expected. He wouldn't throw her away when he got bored. He would do something different. He would help her heal. Jake grabbed his blanket and a pillow and made a bed on the floor. He pointed to his bed. "You can sleep there. It's more comfortable." The girl watched him with suspicious eyes. She didn't move toward the bed. "That's okay," Jake said. "Take your time. I'll be right here if you need anything." He lay down on the floor and turned off most of the lights. In the darkness, he could hear her breathing, fast and scared at first, then slowly calming down. Jake stared at the ceiling and wondered what he had gotten himself into. He didn't know how to fix someone this broken. He barely knew how to fix himself. But he had to try, because if he didn't, who would? The girl didn't sleep that first night. Jake could hear her moving around, checking corners, testing the door. She was trapped in a new cage, even without the energy bars. A cage made of fear and pain, but Jake had time. He had patience. And most importantly, he had decided to care. In the morning, Jake woke to find the girl sitting in the same spot he had left her. She was watching him with those empty violet eyes. He sat up slowly. "Good morning. Are you hungry?" No answer. Jake went to his small kitchen and prepared 2 meals. He made something simple for himself and looked up what Zinthari could eat. The computer said they could digest most proteins and some vegetables. He prepared a plate and set it near her, then sat across the room with his own food. "You should eat," he said. "You're too thin." He ate his breakfast while talking about nothing important. The weather on Earth, his favorite foods. How much he hated the coffee on the station. The girl didn't touch her food while he was watching. But after he left for his shift at the docks, he checked the security camera on his datapad. She had eaten everything on the plate. It was a start. That became their routine. Every morning, Jake would leave food. Every evening, he would come back to find it gone. He would talk to her, never forcing her to respond. He would sleep on the floor while she took the bed, though she never actually lay down on it. She always stayed in her corner. On the 5th day, Jake got permission to take her to the medical center. The doctor, a woman named Lisa Hayes, scanned the Zinthari girl and frowned. Multiple broken bones that healed wrong. Severe brain trauma. Signs of long-term abuse. Lisa looked at Jake. "What are you planning to do with her?" "Help her," Jake said simply. "You know she's legally considered property, right? If you're keeping her, you need to register her." The word property made Jake angry. "Then I'll register her. Whatever keeps her safe." "Safe from what?" "From people who think she's entertainment." Lisa was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. "I'll start treatment. But Jake, her body will heal. Her mind is a different problem. That might never heal. I have to try," Jake said. Over the next 2 weeks, Jake learned to read the girl's moods. The way her smaller arms would shake when she was scared. How her skin would turn darker when she was upset. The small changes in her breathing when something interested her. He started leaving books near her. Stories about Earth, about space, about anything he thought might interest her. In the mornings, he would find them moved. She pretended she hadn't touched them, but Jake knew better. One night, Jake was making dinner when he heard something impossible. A voice, weak and rough but clear enough. "Why?" Jake turned slowly. The girl was looking right at him for the first time since he brought her here. "Why are you doing this?" she asked again. Jake thought carefully about his answer. "Because nobody deserves what happened to you. War or no war, I am Zinthari. We killed your people, and my people killed yours. Does that mean you deserve to be tortured? To be sold like a thing?" She had no answer. Jake sat down on the floor, keeping distance between them. "Do you have a name?" he asked. After a long silence, she spoke. "Kira, my name was Kira before they took me." "Kira," Jake repeated, smiling a little. "I'm Jake. It's good to finally meet you." For the first time, something changed in Kira's eyes. Not trust, not yet, but maybe the smallest bit of hope. After Kira spoke her first words, Jake thought everything would get easier. He was wrong. Talking didn't mean trusting. Words didn't erase years of pain. Kira would speak sometimes, but only when she wanted to. She would answer questions with 1 or 2 words. She never started conversations. She never asked for anything. She simply existed in Jake's quarters like a ghost. But Jake noticed small changes. Kira started sitting on the bed instead of the floor. She would pick up the books he left and read them while he was gone. Once he came back to find her standing by the window looking at the stars. "Do you miss your home?" Jake asked quietly. Kira didn't turn around. I have no home. It burned 3 years ago. I'm sorry. Everyone is sorry. Sorry doesn't bring back the dead. Jake understood that feeling. He had lost his whole squadron at Kepler Station. 23 people he called friends gone in seconds. Sorry was just a word people said when they had nothing else to offer. You're right, Jake said. Sorry isn't enough. But it's all I have. Kira finally looked at him. Her violet eyes were sad but not empty anymore. You have more than sorry, Jake Morrison. You have kindness. That is rare. The next day, Jake took Kira to the medical center again. Lisa had been working on a treatment plan for weeks. She wanted to re-break Kira's arm and set it properly. It would hurt, but it was the only way to fix it. Kira agreed without hesitation. Jake held her good hand during the procedure. She didn't cry out, didn't make a sound. She just squeezed his hand hard enough to hurt. You're brave, Jake said afterward. I am not brave, Kira replied. I am just used to pain. That answer broke Jake's heart. While Kira's arm healed, Jake taught her about human culture. He showed her movies and music. He explained customs and holidays. Kira learned fast. She asked questions about everything. Why do humans shake hands? She asked one day. It's a greeting, a sign of peace. We do not touch strangers on my world. Touch is only for family. What do Zenthari do instead? Kira demonstrated by pressing her two right hands together and bowing slightly. We do this. It means I see you as equal. Jake copied the gesture. I see you as equal. Something like a smile crossed Kira's face. It was quick, gone in a second, but Jake saw it. Progress. 3 weeks after Kira first spoke, Jake made a mistake. He came home angry after a bad day at work. His commander had yelled at him for being late. His friends were still making jokes about his Zenthari pet. He was tired of being judged for doing the right thing. He slammed the door harder than he meant to. The sound was loud in the small quarters. Kira was on the floor in seconds, curled up, arms over her head. She was shaking. Jake's anger vanished. Kira, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. She didn't move. She was breathing fast, too fast. She was having a panic attack. Jake sat on the floor far away from her. It's okay. You're safe. I was just angry about work. I would never hurt you, never. He kept talking, keeping his voice low and steady. He told her about his day, about the stupid reasons he was upset. He made himself sound silly, mocking his own anger. Slowly, Kira's breathing calmed. She looked up at him with wide eyes. I thought. She couldn't finish. I know. I'm sorry. I should have been more careful. Kira uncurled slowly. My last owner would hit me when he was angry. And the one before that. I thought you were the same. I'm not, Jake said firmly. I will never hit you, Kira, even when I'm angry. Even if you make me angry, I don't hurt people I care about. You care about me? Yes, I do. Kira looked confused. Why, I am nothing. I am damaged. I am your enemy. You were never my enemy. You're just someone who got hurt by a war you didn't start. And you're not nothing. You're smart and strong, and you're still fighting to survive. That makes you somebody. Kira stared at him for a long time. Then she did something that surprised them both. She moved closer and sat near him. Not touching, but closer than she had ever been. Tell me about the Battle of Kepler Station, she said softly. You mention it sometimes in your sleep. Jake hadn't realized he talked in his sleep. It's not a good story. I know about bad stories. Tell me anyway, so Jake told her. He told her about the ambush, about watching his friends die, about floating in space for 6 hours before rescue came. He told her about the nightmares, about the guilt of surviving when everyone else died. I stopped feeling anything after that, Jake admitted. I just went through the motions. Work, sleep, repeat. I was alive but not living. I understand, Kira said. That is how I felt too. Until you brought me here. What changed? You gave me a reason to feel again. Even if it was just fear at first. Then confusion. Then curiosity. Now I feel many things. Not all good, but something. That is better than nothing. They sat together in silence. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that happens between people who understand each other. The next morning, Jake woke to find Kira sitting at his small table. She had made breakfast. It wasn't good. She didn't know how to cook, but she had tried. I wanted to do something for you, she explained. You always do things for me. Jake sat down and ate the terrible food with a smile. Thank you, Kira. This is really kind. It tastes bad. It's the thought that counts. Over the following weeks, their relationship shifted. Kira started taking care of the quarters while Jake worked. She would clean and organize, things that gave her a sense of control. She started asking Jake to bring specific books from the station library. She was reading everything she could find about Earth history and science. One evening, Jake brought her a datapad loaded with Xanthari literature. He had spent hours searching for it, finally finding a merchant who had saved digital copies from before the war. Kira's hands shook when she took the datapad. "Where did you find this?" "I have my sources." "I thought you might want to read something from home." Kira touched the screen, scrolling through titles. Her eyes filled with tears. "These are children's stories. My mother used to read them to me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you sad. I am not sad. I'm grateful." She looked up at him. "You gave me back a piece of my world. Nobody has ever done something like this for me." Jake smiled. "You deserve to remember the good parts of your life, not just the bad." That night, Kira read the stories out loud. Jake didn't understand the Xanthari language, but he liked listening to her voice. She sounded happy, or at least peaceful. When she finished, she turned to him. "Will you tell me about Earth? About where you grew up?" So Jake told her about his childhood in California, about the ocean and the mountains. He told her about his family, his parents who still lived in the same house he grew up in. He told her about normal life before the war changed everything. "Do you think you'll go back?" Kira asked. "Someday, when I figure out what I want to do with my life." "What do you want?" Jake thought about it. "I want to help people. I want to make the galaxy a little better than I found it. I don't know how yet, but that's the goal." "You already help people," Kira said quietly. "You helped me." "One person isn't enough. It is enough for that one person." Jake looked at her and realized how much she had changed. The scared, broken girl he had brought home was slowly becoming someone new, someone stronger. But Jake also knew they couldn't stay in this small room forever. He had received new orders. The Valiant was shipping out in 2 weeks for patrol duty. He needed to decide what to do about Kira. "I need to talk to you about something important," Jake said carefully. Kira tensed. "You are sending me away." "No, never. But my ship is leaving soon. I want you to come with me, but it's complicated. The military has rules about civilians on warships. I am not a civilian. I am property. Your property according to your laws. I hate that word. But it is true. I am registered to you. That means I can go where you go. Is that what you want? To come with me?" Kira was quiet for a moment. 3 months ago, I wanted nothing. I wanted to stop existing. Now I want to stay with you. I want to see where this life goes. Is that allowed?" "I'll make it allowed," Jake promised. He spent the next week fighting with bureaucracy. He talked to Captain Ross, explained the situation, and asked for special permission. He filled out dozens of forms. He argued with officers who didn't understand why he cared about a Xanthari slave. Finally, Captain Ross called him to her office. "Lieutenant Morrison, I've reviewed your request. It's unusual, but your service record is excellent. I'm approving Kira to come aboard as a civilian consultant in xenobiology. She'll have quarters and limited access to ship facilities." "Thank you, Captain." "Don't thank me yet. Many crew members won't be happy about this. You'll face resistance. Well, I can handle it. I believe you can. But Morrison, one more thing. Why are you doing this, really?" Jake thought about the question. "Because somebody needs to prove that we're better than our worst moments, that we can choose compassion over cruelty. If I can't do that for one person, how can I expect humanity to do it for millions?" Captain Ross almost smiled. "Good answer. Don't make me regret this." Jake told Kira the news that evening. She actually smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "We're going to the stars," she said. "Together," Jake added. "Together," Kira repeated. "I like that word." The rescue team found 15 survivors, including 3 Xanthari refugees. When they brought them aboard, several crew members wanted to leave the Xanthari behind. The old hatred flared up immediately. Captain Ross made an announcement over the ship's speakers. "These are refugees fleeing war zones. They are not enemy combatants. We will treat them with the same respect we would give any survivors. Anyone who has a problem with that can file a complaint after we've saved their lives." The Xanthari refugees were terrified. They didn't speak English and didn't trust the human crew. The ship's translator was broken and nobody could communicate with them, except Kira. Jake watched as Kira approached the refugees. She spoke to them in their native language, her voice gentle and reassuring. "The refuge. The first day aboard the Valiant was hard. Jake walked through the corridors with Kira beside him, and every person they passed stared. Some looked curious. Most looked angry. A few looked disgusted. Kira kept her head down, her good arms wrapped around herself. Jake could see her getting smaller with each step. "Hold your head up," Jake said quietly. "You have every right to be here. They hate me. They don't know you. There's a difference." Their quarters were in the civilian section of the ship. It was small, just one room with a bed and a desk, but it had a window showing the stars. Kira went straight to the window and pressed her hand against the glass. "I never thought I would see stars from a human ship," she said. "Get used to it. We'll be out here for 6 months." Kira turned to look at him. "Where will you sleep?" Jake pointed to the bed. "We'll figure something out. I can request a cot. We can share. I trust you." Those 3 words meant more to Jake than anything else she could have said. After everything Kira had been through, she trusted him. The next morning, Jake took Kira to the science lab. The head scientist, a man named Dr. Peter Clark, looked surprised to see them. "You must be Kira," Peter said carefully. "Captain Ross told me about you. Says you're a xenobiology expert." "I studied it before the war," Kira replied. "I may be able to help with your research." Peter glanced at Jake, then back to Kira. "I'll be honest. I'm not sure how the team will react to working with a Xanthari." "Then let me prove myself," Kira said firmly. "Give me a test, any test. If I fail, I'll stay in my quarters." Peter thought about it, then nodded. He brought up a complex genetic sequence on the main screen. "Tell me what this is." Kira studied it for less than a minute. "That's a Krillian blood sample. The mutation in the 3rd helix suggests the subject was exposed to radiation from a dying star. They probably lived near a red giant." Peter's eyes went wide. "That took my team 3 days to figure out." "How did you know?" "I wrote my university thesis on radiation effects in alien biology. This is basic for me." From that moment, Peter treated Kira with respect. The other scientists took longer to convince, but they came around after watching her work. Kira had a gift for understanding alien life in ways humans couldn't match. But not everyone on the ship was welcoming. In the mess hall, people would get up and leave when Kira sat down. In the corridors, crew members would bump into her on purpose. Someone spray-painted a slur on their quarters door. Jake reported each incident, but there was only so much Captain Ross could do. She couldn't change how people felt. The real trouble started 2 weeks into the voyage. Jake and Kira were in the mess hall eating lunch when 3 Marines sat down at their table uninvited. The leader was a corporal named Greg Foster. He had a scar across his face and cold eyes. "Morrison, we need to talk," Greg said. "Then talk," Jake replied calmly. "The crew isn't happy about your pet. Some of us lost friends to the Xanthari. Having one walk around free is disrespectful. Kira is not my pet. She's a civilian consultant doing valuable work," Greg laughed. "Consultant? Is that what you call it? Everyone knows what you're really doing with her." Kira stood up quickly. "I should go." Jake caught her hand gently. "Stay. You have every right to be here." "Do you know how many humans died because of her kind?" Another Marine asked. "My brother burned to death on a transport ship. But sure, let's make friends with the enemy." "I didn't fight in your war by choice," Kira said quietly. "I was a student. I lost my family too." "We both suffered." "It's not the same," Greg snapped. "Why not?" "Because I'm not human? Pain is pain. Loss is loss." Greg stood up, his face red with anger. "You don't get to talk about loss. Your people started this war." "Actually," Jake interrupted, "if you check the history, there's debate about who fired first. Both sides claim the other started it." "Whose side are you on, Morrison?" "The side that says the war is over and we need to move forward." Greg leaned close to Jake. "You're a traitor. You're sleeping with the enemy and making the rest of us look bad." Jake stood up slowly. He was taller than Greg and had a reputation as one of the best fighters on the ship. "Say that again," Jake said softly. "You heard me, traitor." Jake's fist connected with Greg's jaw before he could think about it. Greg fell back and his friends jumped in. Suddenly, the mess hall erupted into chaos. Jake fought hard, protecting Kira behind him. He took hits but gave worse than he got. Other crew members joined in, some defending Jake, others attacking him. Security broke it up within minutes. Jake ended up in the brig with a black eye and bloody knuckles. Kira was unharmed, but Jake could see she was shaken. Captain Ross came to see him that evening. She didn't look happy. "Lieutenant Morrison, do you understand how serious this is? Fighting with fellow crew members is a court-martial offense." He called me a traitor, Captain, and he threatened Kira. I read the reports. I also read the reports about the last 3 incidents. Morrison, you can't solve prejudice with violence. Then how do I solve it? By letting them harass her? By teaching her that she should accept being treated like garbage? Captain Ross sighed. I understand your frustration, but you need to be smarter about this. Use the proper channels. File complaints. Let me handle discipline. With respect, Captain, complaints haven't stopped anything. No, but they create documentation. They build a case. Violence just makes you look unstable. Jake was quiet for a moment. What's going to happen to me? You're getting a formal reprimand, 30 days of extra duty, and mandatory anger management counseling. She paused. You're lucky I like what you're trying to do here, Morrison. Anyone else would be facing worse. Thank you, Captain. Don't thank me. Just be better. And keep taking care of Kira. Despite what some crew members think, what you're doing matters. Jake was released the next morning. He found Kira in their quarters, staring out the window. She didn't turn around when he entered. Are you angry at me? Jake asked. No, I'm angry at myself. Why? Because you keep getting hurt because of me. You lost friends because you defend me. Maybe it would be better if I just stayed hidden. Jake crossed the room and stood beside her at the window. Hiding doesn't change anything, Kira. It just lets the bullies win. But at what cost? Your career? Your friendships? Your safety? Those are my choices to make. And I choose you. Kira finally looked at him. Her eyes were wet with tears. I don't understand why. What makes me worth all this trouble? Jake thought carefully about his answer. Do you remember when you asked me what I wanted to do with my life? I said I wanted to help people, to make the galaxy better. You're not just someone I'm helping, Kira. You're proof that it's possible. Every day you get stronger. Every time you smile, every contribution you make to the science team, you show everyone that Xanthari aren't monsters. You show them that peace is possible. That's a lot of pressure. I know, and it's not fair. But you're already doing it. Just by being yourself, by being kind when others are cruel, by working hard when others doubt you, you're changing minds without even trying. Kira leaned her head against his shoulder. It was the first time she had initiated that kind of contact. I'm scared, Jake. What if it doesn't work? What if people never accept me? Then we keep trying anyway. Because the alternative is giving up, and I don't think either of us knows how to do that. They stood together for a long time, watching the stars move past the window. The next few weeks were tense. Jake did his extra duty shifts without complaint. He attended anger management counseling with a psychiatrist named Dr. Karen Phillips, who actually seemed to understand what he was trying to accomplish. You know, Karen said during one session, what you're doing is essentially exposure therapy for the whole crew. The more they see Kira as a person, as someone who works hard and contributes, the harder it is to maintain their prejudice. Is it working? Slowly. I've had 3 crew members come to me about their feelings regarding Kira. They're conflicted. They hate what Xanthari did during the war, but they like Kira as an individual. That cognitive dissonance is actually good. It means they're thinking. Meanwhile, Kira continued to excel in the science lab. She discovered a new type of bacteria that could survive in vacuum. She helped solve a problem with the ship's life support system that the engineering team had been struggling with for weeks. She published a paper on xenobiology that got attention from universities on Earth. Slowly, very slowly, some crew members started treating her better. They would nod when passing her in corridors. A few even said hello. It wasn't friendship, but it was progress. Then something happened that changed everything. The Valiant received a distress call from a civilian transport. It had been attacked by pirates and was stranded with life support failing. 4 months into the voyage, life on the Valiant had found a rhythm. Kira had become an accepted member of the science team, though acceptance came slowly and not from everyone. Some crew members still refused to acknowledge her, but others had started treating her with basic courtesy. Jake watched Kira change day by day. She stood taller now, spoke with more confidence. Her smiles came easier. The scared, broken girl he had rescued was becoming someone new, someone strong. But Jake also noticed that as Kira healed, the lines between them were getting harder to define. They shared quarters, shared meals, shared their days. They talked late into the night about everything and nothing. They had become so comfortable with each other that Jake sometimes forgot they had only known each other for 7 months. One evening, Jake came back from a long shift to find Kira at the desk, reading one of her Xanthari children's books. She looked peaceful in the soft light. Good book? Jake asked. It's the story of two moons who fall in love but can never touch because they orbit the same planet from different directions. It's sad but beautiful. Jake sat on the floor near her. Do Xanthari believe in love? I mean the way humans do? Kira closed the book and looked at him thoughtfully. We have different words for it. There's Keth, which is family love, Saren, which is passion, and Velness, which is the deep connection between souls. It's hard to translate exactly. Which kind is in the story? Velness, the kind where two beings understand each other completely, where they choose each other despite everything that keeps them apart. Jake felt something shift in his chest. That sounds nice. It's rare, Kira said. Most Xanthari never find it. My parents had it, though. I could see it in the way they looked at each other. Do you want that? Someday? Kira was quiet for a long moment. I used to think I would never want anyone close to me again. After everything that happened, the idea of intimacy terrified me. But now I'm not sure. Sometimes I think it might be possible. With the right person. Their eyes met and something unspoken passed between them. Jake looked away first, his heart racing. I'm going to take a shower, he said quickly, needing space to think. Under the hot water, Jake forced himself to face what he had been avoiding for weeks. He had feelings for Kira, real feelings that went beyond friendship or protectiveness. He cared about her in a way that was getting harder to ignore. But was it right? She had been a slave, his slave legally speaking, even if he hated that word. Could she really make a free choice about relationships when he held so much power over her status? Jake decided to push the feelings down. Kira deserved time to heal, to figure out who she was without trauma defining her. His feelings didn't matter. The next week, the Valiant docked at a space station for supplies. Jake and Kira got shore leave together. They walked through the market district, looking at goods from a dozen worlds. Kira stopped at a stall selling jewelry. She picked up a necklace made of blue crystals that caught the light beautifully. It's pretty, Jake said. It reminds me of home. We have crystals like this in the caves beneath Xanthar Prime. Her expression grew sad. Had. I don't know if anything survived the bombing. Jake bought the necklace without telling her. Later, back on the ship, he left it on her pillow with a note. For someone who deserves beautiful things. When Kira found it, she cried. Happy tears this time. She wore the necklace every day after that, touching it whenever she felt anxious or scared. A few weeks later, the science team made a major discovery. They found evidence of an ancient civilization on a dead moon. Dr. Peter Clark asked Kira to join the landing party to analyze the artifacts. It was Kira's first time off the ship since they arrived. Her first real mission. Jake wanted to go with her, but he wasn't part of the science team. He had to stay behind and trust that she would be okay. I'm nervous, Kira admitted before she left. You'll be great, Jake assured her. You know more about xenobiology than anyone on this ship. What if something goes wrong? Then you'll figure it out. You're stronger than you think, Kira. She surprised him by hugging him quickly before running to catch up with the landing party. It was the first time she had hugged anyone since Jake had known her. Jake spent the whole day distracted, checking the communication channels every few minutes. Finally, the landing party returned. Kira was excited, talking rapidly about what they had found. The civilization was silicon-based, Jake. Silicon-based. Do you know how rare that is? And they had technology we can't even understand yet. This could change everything we know about the development of intelligent life. Jake smiled at her enthusiasm. I told you that you'd be great. Peter said I did good work. He wants me to co-author the paper about the findings. That's incredible, Kira. She grabbed his hands in her excitement. This is real, Jake. I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm living. I'm doing work that matters. I have a purpose again. You always had purpose. You just needed the chance to show it. That night, they celebrated with the good food Jake had been saving for a special occasion. Kira talked for hours about the mission, about her theories and ideas. Jake listened, happy to see her so alive. Thank you, Kira said suddenly. For what?
For believing in me.
For giving me a chance when everyone else saw me as nothing. You saved my life, but more than that, you gave me a reason to live. Jake felt his carefully controlled feelings threatening to break free. You did the hard work, Kira. I just gave you space to heal. You gave me more than that. You gave me hope. The next morning, Jake was called to Captain Ross's office. She looked serious, Morrison, I have news. The Valiant is being reassigned. We're heading back to Earth in 2 weeks. For how long? Permanent reassignment. The ship needs major repairs and upgrades. The crew will get new assignments. Jake's stomach dropped. What about Kira? That's the complicated part. Her status as a civilian consultant was tied to this mission. When we dock at Earth, she'll need new papers, a new sponsor, or she goes back to being classified as unclaimed property. That's not acceptable. I know. That's why I'm telling you now. You have 2 weeks to figure out a solution. There are options. You could apply to be her official guardian, which would give her legal protections. Or she could apply for asylum as a war refugee, though that process takes months and isn't guaranteed to succeed. What do you recommend? Honestly, both. Apply for guardianship as a backup and start the asylum process. And Morrison, there's something else. I've been offered a position at the Interspecies Relations Council. They're building a team to help integrate refugees from both sides of the war. I recommended you and Kira for positions. Jake was surprised. Why us? Because you two are proof that integration can work. You've shown that humans and Xanthari can live and work together. That's valuable. I need to talk to Kira about this and of course, think it over. But Morrison, this could be bigger than just saving one person. This could be about building a better future for millions. Jake found Kira in the science lab, finishing up her report. He told her everything. Kira listened quietly, then asked, "What do you want to do?" "I think we should consider it." "But Kira, this is your life too. You get a say in this." "Do you want to know what I want?" Kira asked. "Always. I want to stay with you, wherever you go, whatever you do. But I also want to help others like me. I want to make sure no other Xanthari suffers what I suffered. If this council position lets us do that, then I want to take it. Even if it means going to Earth, facing even more prejudice. I've faced worse. And I won't be facing it alone," Jake smiled. "No, you won't." They spent the next 2 weeks preparing. Jake filed the guardianship papers and started the asylum application. Kira finished her research papers and said goodbye to the science team, many of whom had become genuine friends. On their last night aboard the Valiant, Jake and Kira stood at their window watching the stars one final time from this ship. "Are you scared?" Jake asked. "Terrified," Kira admitted, "but also excited." "Is that strange?" "No, it means you're healing. Healthy people can feel scared and excited at the same time." Kira turned to look at him. "Jake, I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "I know I haven't said it properly, but I want you to know that you're the most important person in my life. You're my friend, my teacher, my protector. You're the reason I'm still alive and the reason I want to keep living. I don't know what that means for the future, but I needed you to know." Jake's heart was pounding. "Kira, you don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know. Whatever happens on Earth, whatever we do next, I want to face it with you." Jake took her hands carefully. "I want that too. More than you know." They stood close, the moment heavy with unspoken feelings. Jake wanted to kiss her, wanted to tell her everything he felt. But he held back. She deserved more time, more healing. She deserved to be completely free before making that choice. "We should get some sleep," Jake said quietly. "Big day tomorrow." Kira nodded, but she didn't let go of his hands immediately. "Jake, thank you for being patient with me. I know this must be confusing sometimes." "You're worth the confusion." The next morning they left the Valiant together, stepping into an uncertain future. But they were stepping into it as partners, as friends, as two people who had saved each other in all the ways that mattered. Jake looked at Kira as they walked down the boarding ramp. She stood tall, her head. Earth looked different than Jake remembered. The cities had grown taller, the orbital defenses more visible. But more than the physical changes, there was something else in the air. Tension, division. The planet that had been united in war was now fracturing in peace. Jake and Kira arrived at the Interspecies Relations Council headquarters in Geneva. The building was new, built with both human and alien architecture in mind. It was a symbol of what the council hoped to achieve. But the protests outside told a different story. Humans carrying signs that read, "Earth for humans," and "No alien refugees." A smaller group of counter-protesters argued with them. Police kept both groups separated. Kira stopped walking, staring at the angry crowd. "Maybe this was a mistake," she said quietly. Jake took her hand. "It's going to be okay. We knew this wouldn't be easy. They hate me and they don't even know me. They hate what they think you represent. Once they get to know the real you, things will change. Kira didn't look convinced, but she let Jake lead her inside. The council director was a woman named Patricia Green. She was in her 60s with gray hair and intelligent eyes. She greeted them warmly. "Lieutenant Morris and Kira, welcome. I've read Captain Ross's reports about you both. Very impressive work." "Thank you, ma'am," Jake said. Patricia turned to Kira. "I understand you've been through a terrible ordeal. I want you to know that this organization exists to make sure nothing like that happens to other refugees. Your perspective will be invaluable." "I'll do my best," Kira said. Patricia showed them to their new office. It was small but had windows overlooking the city, 2 desks, 2 computers, and stacks of files waiting for them. "Your first assignment is to review asylum applications from Xanthari refugees. Many were denied because the review officers didn't understand Xanthari culture or documentation. We need you to identify cases that deserve a second look." After Patricia left, Jake and Kira sat at their desks. Jake opened the first file and immediately felt sick. It was a young Xanthari male who had been denied asylum because his story seemed inconsistent. But reading deeper, Jake could see the problem. The translator had mistranslated key phrases, making the applicant sound dishonest when he was just trying to explain Xanthari customs. "This is wrong," Jake said. He was telling the truth, they just didn't understand him. Kira was reading another file, tears in her eyes. "This one is a female who escaped slavery. They denied her because she couldn't provide documentation of her abuse. But slavers don't give receipts, Jake. How is she supposed to prove what happened?" They worked for hours, finding case after case of refugees who had been failed by a system that didn't understand them. By the end of the day, they had identified 50 cases that needed immediate review. The work was hard but meaningful. Every day, Jake and Kira reviewed files, interviewed refugees, and fought with bureaucracy to get people the help they needed. Some days they won. Some days they lost. But they kept trying. 3 months after they started, Patricia asked them to speak at a public forum about human-Xanthari relations. It would be broadcast across Earth in several colonies. "I can't," Kira said immediately. "I can't stand in front of millions of people and tell my story." "You don't have to tell everything," Patricia said gently. "Just tell them what you want them to know. Help them understand that Xanthari are people, not monsters." Jake squeezed Kira's hand. "I'll be right there with you. We'll do this together." The night before the forum, Kira couldn't sleep. She paced their small apartment, anxious and scared. What if I say something wrong? What if I make things worse? Jake got up and stopped her pacing. He put his hands on her shoulders. "Kira, you are the strongest person I know. You survived 3 years of abuse that would have broken most people. You learned to trust again after every reason not to. You've helped dozens of refugees already. You can do this. You always believe in me more than I believe in myself. Someone has to. Might as well be me." Kira smiled a little. "What did I do to deserve you?" "You existed. That was enough." The forum was held in a large auditorium filled with diplomats, journalists, and citizens. Jake spoke first, telling the story of how he met Kira, how he chose to help her instead of using her. He was honest about the resistance they faced, the prejudice, the violence. Then Kira took the stage. She was shaking, but her voice was clear. "My name is Kira. Before the war, I was a student studying xenobiology on Xanthar Prime. I had parents who loved me, friends I laughed with, dreams for my future. Then the war came and everything burned. I was captured by slavers who saw me as cargo. For 3 years I was bought and sold, abused and broken. I forgot what it meant to be a person." She paused, gathering courage. "Then Jake Morrison found me. He was given me as a war trophy, something to use and throw away. Everyone expected him to hurt me. But he chose differently. He chose to see me as someone worth saving. He gave me food and safety. He helped me heal. He treated me with kindness when cruelty would have been easier." Kira looked at Jake, then back at the audience. "I am not telling you this story so you will feel sorry for me. I'm telling you because I need you to understand something. The war made monsters of people on both sides. Xanthari killed humans. Humans killed Xanthari. We all lost people we loved. But the war is over now and we have a choice. We can hold on to our hatred or we can choose to be better." Someone in the audience shouted, "Easy for you to say. You're not the one who lost family." Kira's voice remained steady. "I lost everyone. My parents died in the first bombing. My brother was conscripted and never came back. My friends, my home, my whole life all gone. I have every reason to hate humans, but I don't. Because Jake taught me that individuals can transcend their species' worst moments. That peace is not about forgetting the past, but about choosing differently in the present. The room was quiet now. People were listening. I'm not asking you to forget what happened in the war, Kira continued. I'm asking you to see refugees like me as individuals, not as symbols of your pain. We didn't start the war. We're just trying to survive it. And if someone as broken as I was can learn to hope again, then maybe there's hope for all of us. The speech was met with mixed reactions. Some people applauded, others walked out. But it started conversations. News outlets played clips for days. Some people praised Kira's courage. Others condemned her as propaganda. But something shifted. More asylum applications were approved. More organizations started working with Zenthari refugees. It was slow progress, but it was progress. One afternoon, a woman came to their office. She introduced herself as Elena Moore, a former prisoner of war who had been held by Zenthari forces for 4 years. I saw your speech, Elena said to Kira. I wanted to meet you. Kira tensed, expecting anger, but Elena smiled sadly. I had every reason to hate your people after what I went through, but there was one Zenthari doctor in the prison camp who protected me. He shared his food when I was starving. He helped me escape. He died doing it. Elena's eyes filled with tears. If I can forgive after what I experienced, then anyone can choose peace. I wanted you to know that you're not alone in trying to build bridges. Kira and Elena talked for hours. They shared their pain, their fears, their hopes. By the end, they had become friends, united by their belief that peace was possible. More people like Elena reached out. Humans who had been helped by Zenthari. Zenthari who had been helped by humans. The silent minority who believed in reconciliation finally found their voice. 6 months into their work at the council, Jake and Kira were offered a new project. They would help establish integration programs on 12 worlds, teaching communities how to live and work together. It was a huge responsibility and would mean traveling constantly, but it was also an opportunity to make a real difference. What do you think? Jake asked Kira. I think we should do it. This is what we've been working toward. That evening, they walked through the city together. It was spring and flowers were blooming in the parks. They found a quiet bench and sat watching the sunset. Can I tell you something? Jake asked. Always. A year ago, when I first brought you to my quarters, I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew I couldn't let you suffer anymore. But somewhere along the way, helping you became about more than just doing the right thing. It became about you specifically, about wanting to see you happy, about wanting to be the person who got to see you smile. Kira turned to look at him. What are you saying? Jake took a deep breath. I'm saying that I love you, Kira. I've loved you for months, maybe longer. I didn't say anything because I wanted you to have time to heal, to be completely free to make your own choices. But I can't hold it in anymore. I love you. Kira was quiet for a long moment. Jake's heart pounded, afraid he had said too much too soon. Then Kira smiled, genuinely and warmly. I know, I've known for a while. You knew? You're not as good at hiding your feelings as you think. The way you look at me, the way you protect me, the way you celebrate every small victory I have. I knew. And you didn't say anything. I was waiting for you to be ready. I've been ready for months, Jake. I love you too. You're my home, my best friend. My reason for believing in tomorrow. I just needed you to realize it yourself. Jake laughed, relief flooding through him. So we've both been waiting for each other? Apparently we're both very patient people. Or very foolish. Maybe both. Jake carefully reached out and cupped her face with his hand.
See,